Shabbat Shalom. We are now 47 hours since the attack on Temple Israel. We are now 47 hours since the threat against the lives of 140 children, Jewish children, and their teachers, and their community, our community, and our family. What are you feeling in this moment now 47 hours later? Some are afraid, and that's normal and natural, and hopefully that feeling will go away. Some are sad. You're sad. Probably the leading emotion that I feel today, 47 hours after, is anger. I'm angry. I'm angry that this is the kind of world our children are growing up in. I'm angry that my kid, that our kids had to go into lockdown and that they know how to do that. I'm angry that our kids know how to evacuate. I'm angry that our kids know this kind of world and are looking at a future filled maybe with more of it. I'm angry about that. I'm angry at all the time and energy and resources that we have to spend so that we can live freely, pray freely, live safely, and pray safely. Think of all the time and energy and resources, and if only we could put it, into Torah, or acts of love, or repairing the world. I'm angry at all of the right-wing extremists, the haters for the conspiracy theories in which they peddle day in and day out and have millions of followers. And I'm angry at their twins on the left, the useful idiots, who give the foundation for the terrorists to globalize the Intifada. I'm angry today. But I'm also grateful. I'm incredibly grateful. I'm grateful for Temple Israel's security team. I'm grateful for their staff and all of the policies and procedures they put in and were able to implement. I'm grateful for all of their volunteers. I'm grateful for the faculty and the staff at the Temple Israel preschool for how they responded to keep our kids safe. I'm even grateful for the Temple Israel clergy. Now, don't tell them I said this, but they're really amazing clergy at Temple Israel. Nobody should leave Shaarey Zedek to go there, of course, but they really have amazing clergy at Temple Israel, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for our own security team, for Roger and Peter and Kurt. I'm grateful for Ken Gold and our security committee. I'm grateful for our synagogue president, Barbara Giles, and all that our leadership does to help keep us safe. I'm really grateful. I'm grateful that it was a near tragedy. I'm grateful that it was a close call. I'm grateful that Nes Gadol Haya Sham. A great miracle happened there. And I'm grateful to God that it wasn't what it could have been. I'm really grateful today. And I'm grateful to each of you for showing up. And for everyone who came Thursday evening to Minyan and Friday morning and Friday night. I'm really grateful because this is how we respond to difficult times. We show up for each other. That's what it means to be a Jew. Now, unfortunately, we know how to respond to tragedy. And we as Jews spend a lot of time responding to tragedy. and we know exactly what to do in those moments. Our tradition also tells us and guides us and teaches us and comforts us by giving us a path to how to respond to near tragedy, to close calls. And thank God, over and over again today, that's the conversation we get to have. The rabbis of the Talmud in Masechet Brachot, in the tractate about blessings, teach us that whenever anyone has a close call with death, when anyone has a profound encounter with their own frailty and vulnerability, that we're supposed to utter words of blessing. And in particular, our rabbis in the Talmud say, whenever you have survived a long voyage, whenever you've crossed a desert, whenever you've survived a terrible illness, we're supposed to offer words of blessing. And in particular, we're supposed to come before the community, a gathering of at least a minyan, and offer that blessing. That's come to be in our own time, that in the midst of the Torah service, after an aliyah, if you've survived a long voyage, if you've survived an illness, if you've had a child and survived that, and if you've been to Israel recently, you come to the synagogue, you receive an aliyah to the Torah, and you say a blessing. And I'll invite you, if you want to turn with me in your prayer books, to the exact blessing that we say. It's on page 142. You'll notice on page 142 that the aliyot blessings are there because that's what comes first. And then right in the middle of the page, we have Birkat HaGomel. And the blessing is, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, HaGomel l'chayavim tovot shegmalani kol tov. Praised are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who shows goodness to us beyond our merits for bestowing favor upon us. You'll see the word that appears twice in that blessing, HaGomel l'chayavim tovot shegmalani kol tov. It's the same root, the gimel, the mem, and the lamed, that speaks about bestowing favor. Returning kindness is what that means. That root, gomel, is how we refer to God, because when we had that encounter with vulnerability, God saw that brokenness, and therefore God sought to fill the brokenness with God's act of kindness in granting us safety or healing. That's what this word gomel means. God is the one who restores that brokenness, who bestows favor upon us. That's the word gomel. Now, interestingly, it's also connected to the Hebrew word gimilah, which means weaning, as in to wean a child. Because what happens in that moment of weaning is that the child is no longer entirely dependent on someone else, and can now begin to thrive on its own. When we say Birkat HaGomel, we're thanking God for getting us from that place of danger to a place of safety where we can begin to thrive on our own. It's not ours to say Birkat HaGomel today. Most of us here, we're not there. We didn't survive that close call. So what happens when you hear of somebody else who has survived that close call, someone else who deserves to bench gomel? We're supposed to perform for them acts of loving kindness, which we call in Hebrew, gimilut chasadim. You hear it's the same root in gimilut chasadim as in Birkat HaGomel, because we're supposed to see the brokenness in others and seek to repay, seek to fill that brokenness with kindness. It's on us to perform acts of loving kindness until the person who had that trauma is able to function fully on their own again. And so when we hear of someone who's experienced a trauma, how do we respond? With a phone call, with a text message, with an email? We respond by showing up, Look, we're Jewish. We respond by bringing food. We respond by opening our doors. We respond by dropping everything in our hands to say, how can I help you? Because you need help more than I do in this moment. When others have experienced the trauma, we perform gimilut chasadim. We perform acts of loving kindness. And in that way, we, like God, can help to bridge our friends and our loved ones to that place of healing and wholeness once again. Now, there's a beautiful teaching from the Kotzker Rebbe. His students were surrounding him and they were looking at the world in which they lived, and they said, Rebbe, look at all the violence and suffering in our world today. Where is God in the midst of all of that violence and suffering? And the Kotzker Rebbe responds, God is wherever we let God in. Because the blessing of trauma is that in our brokenness, we can open ourselves up to seeing the presence of God in this world, and we can act on that presence by performing acts of loving kindness just as God does. That's the blessing of the broken heart. That's what it means to be a gomel, one who bestows favor upon someone truly in need. But I think there's another lesson from our Torah portion this week that helps us respond to close calls, that helps us react to near tragedies. As the book of Exodus comes to a close here this week in Parashat Vayakhel-Pekudei, our ancestors complete the construction of the Mishkan, that portable wilderness and the sanctuary. And as a result of completing that incredible project that took the entire community to come together, they celebrated. They offered blessing. Now, in and of itself, that might seem normal. Of course they would. But they were in the middle of the wilderness. They were already a year into their wilderness wandering, and they had no idea that it was going to take another 39 years to get to the promised land, but they knew that they weren't close to the promised land. They knew that they had miles and miles to go in the midst of a dangerous journey. But nevertheless, they celebrated. Because what we remember in these incredible moments of trauma is just how vulnerable we are. And that the world can change in a moment. Our lives can change in a moment. And so we never miss an opportunity to celebrate. We never miss a chance to rejoice. We never miss the time to turn to a spouse and to say, I love you, and I'm grateful for you, and you're my favorite person. We never miss the chance to turn to our parents to say thank you for all that you've given me and done for me. We've never missed the opportunity to look at our kids and to let them know how blessed we are by them, and to return that with our own blessing for them, and to work ever harder on their behalf for them and for the entire world that they're going to inherit. We reach out to our brothers and our sisters and our friends and our community members, and we tell them we love them and that we're here for them. And even in those moments of trauma, and we remember the need to reach out, we even can tell the Temple Israel clergy that they're pretty good. And they are. Because life can change in an instant. We all have these close encounters, and we never know when the next one's going to come. So we take the opportunity to celebrate and rejoice and give thanks and praise and help those who need helping. There's another Rebbe who went to the marketplace. And it was a busy Friday afternoon, and he looked around, and the vendors were yelling, and the customers were yelling, and the carts were rolling, and there was chaos everywhere. And the Rebbe started clapping. And he started dancing. And everyone started looking at him like he was crazy. And the Rebbe said, no, you're seeing the wrong thing. Look at the world through Jewish eyes. I see a husband buying flowers for his wife for Shabbat. I see children buying challah for their table for Shabbat. I see wives preparing beautiful Shabbat meals for their families. I see Jewish life, and I see Jewish joy. Friends, we can look around the world, and we can be afraid, and we can be sad, and we can be angry. Those are all legitimate reactions to the world in which we live today. But we should also be grateful. And we have so much for which to rejoice. So let's celebrate. Because I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, and you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So let's celebrate today, and let's give thanks for each other and for Shabbat and for God's blessing, because you know what? Today is not a day of mourning. Today is a day of gratitude. Nes gadol haya sham. A great miracle happened there. It could have been horrible. But today and last night, there are Jews all over this community and all over the world celebrating Shabbat. And you know what? There are Jewish kids celebrating as well. Adonai oz li'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May God grant us the strength to celebrate every moment. May God grant us the strength to overcome our traumas. May God grant us the strength to perform acts of loving kindness for those who are in need. And may God bless us all now and every day with peace. And let us say together, Amen and Shabbat Shalom.